Hey, Josh, good to see you, sir. We already got Evelyn and Robert, of course, the stars of the show tonight, along with Kristoph. Toriano is hosting us. Thank you, my friend. I just looked at your screenshots of your Tailspire builds. Well done, sir.
Yeah, he was working hard on those. He was streaming it the other day and watching him go to work, building out the area. Very nice.
What was he working on? I didn't get to catch stream, so.
I think it was the starting area for his new campaign and the maps and the little towns and buildings and such, as well as placement of some of the adventure spots.
Okay. Well, that sounds fun. I know he's in it. Josh Iculus, he won the 4 licenses a while ago, and oh, here comes Kristoph. Let's go.
Yes.
Thanks for your patience, folks. A little bit of a late start tonight. We had, shockingly, a couple of technical glitches, but we have Kristoph back. You look good, my friend. Slightly out of focus. That just means you're so sharp, the cameras cannot handle it. Now, we are live on audio, just so I don't surprise anyone. They cannot see you yet, but they can hear you. So let me check here. I'm going to pull up my alternate screen and see if the ninja is still linked. So, Kristoph, you may need to resend me a new link, or do you have the ninja up? And if you can't do it, don't sweat it. Like we'll run this from my machine.
2 seconds. Wouldn't take 2 seconds.
Hey, good to see you. Thanks everybody for joining us. Mike, welcome. Jay, thanks for the host. Good to have you on with us. All right, already a new join. Thank you so much, Hoss 00312. And you can just send me the link in Discord once you have it ready, Kristoph.
Absolutely.
Hello, Noonvale. Josh, thank you so much. Yes, welcome to the Mad Chatterdome. So, Evelyn.
Yes.
Circle your calendar if you would. I would like to conscript you, since you've not offered the next date, for the next one-shot that I would love for you to run.
All right.
And you would have this on our normal Tuesday night. So you'd get the whole GHA audience coming in the 28th of September, so in a couple of weeks. I have a work meeting that's going to have me in Memphis that night. So I will be on the road during the stream. I will not be able to get back in time. So it would be so much fun. It's going to be interruption to book 2, but I think people would love to see you stream that night.
All right. Got it down.
All right. Thank you, Obsidian Risk. Good to see you, my friend. All right, Kristoph, I got it.
I think Obsidian Risk just joined Greyhawk Online a couple of days ago.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Like, he's been on our stream for quite some time. Scott, he's been amazing. Real big supporter. And yeah, thank you so much, my friend. And
I did send you a Discord message. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, no. Sorry.
No, I sent John.
Oh.
Okay, I'm checking.
Actually going to open...
Oh, all right. So can you send that to... Thank you, Robert. Can you send that to Evelyn? Because she'll be quicker on that than I am, because I'm going to kick this off right. But you're dead on. If that's correct, good on you, my friend. Oh, thank you for the resub, Pat Draws.
He's almost to his blue dragon.
He is. All right, I'm going to jump over. We're going to get this thing started in just a moment. So let's start with sponsors, and we're not going to go through all of them. But I do want to talk about the 2 that have the best videos anywhere on the internet for Twitch sponsorships. I'm going to kill our blue box thing because you've seen this before. You guys know it. You love it. And there's a new one coming. But we have now also the original Ferox fabrication stuff, which is amazing. But we're going to kick off the... Well, actually, let's start with this one. This is one of my favorites. And we can go a little short, a little long tonight. I don't want my fans to stress. I don't want my participants stressed. This is just going to be a fun night tonight.
To all ye present, greetings. I am none other than
Duncan Joustley,
the Cromulent, the preeminent herald and town crier of Altamira.
Hey, Pat.
If my highly successful
And Pat.
career on the semi-professional jousting circuit has taught me anything, it is always to remain ever vigilant for opportunity. And it is this sort of opportunity that I am offering you. And that is the chance to have your business, your organization, your town, your church, your community announced boldly, loudly,
Boldly,
with
loudly.
verve and vigor.
Verve is
by
always
yours
accompanied
truly.
by vigor.
At the Altamira Grand Melee main event. I have a great deal of experience speaking loudly and telling people what to do.
Awesome.
It is.
Harness my boots.
I did, Fraley. Thanks.
There
I think
is
I
a
responded.
fee schedule for such services that I provide. And it is available at the Altamira Tourist Board in a handy brochure. This has been Duncan Joustley. Don't miss out on the finer things.
The drink at the end is just perfect.
I know, I love it. Ferox Fabrications.
Got more. Need someone to pick me up?
No kidding. Makers of wet palette, dice boxes, mini holders, magnetic and glorious. Makes you want an 80s, watch an 80s sword and sandals movie, doesn't it? All right, so you are now seeing, not just heard, and welcome to Blue Box Loremasters Arcanum number 50. I think we're at the half-century mark now with this show, and I am joined by an august cast this evening, as we have often had. We have with us tonight the amazing Evelyn, who is always here. She is Blue Box Evie, Theater Evie. She is Irda. She is Alondra. She was Millie, and you will see what she is next week on our show. You'll see her brand new character, and it's going to be a blast. Evelyn, anything you'd like to say to us as we get started about stuff you're working on? Your streams. You're on several things. You're working with Terry, of course. You can talk about that. Anything else, other projects you have? Go ahead.
Monday nights over on Machikiji's channel, I play in a Pathfinder 2E campaign called Extinction Curse. We stream that at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're a bunch of adventurers who are part of a circus, and we're solving some strange things that have happened surrounding that. So, that one's fun. Other than that, not much going on, just world building still, writing away like a lot, and working on some stuff for prep for book 2 of Greyhawk Awakening. So yeah.
Outstanding. And yes, and a lot more now that you know you're streaming on the 28th, right? So, and look, if you're not ready, we'll figure something out. I just want to give you that opportunity. I'm not trying to pressure you to it. Then I have with us tonight, Phantom NJ. You know him as Robert. You know him as the leader of the Friday Night Crusades. Robert, tell us about all the stuff you're working on. Anything else you'd like to prop, to pimp, to push? Go ahead, my friend.
Well, let's first start. We got to start with Friday Night Crusades because we've had 12 different people become part of the Company of the Blue Box, playing every Friday night. Lately, we've had every Friday 6 to 7 people as far as players, not including me, running the game, and it has been a whole world of fun. So much role play going on, which I was not expecting because this is an ultra casual game. So yeah, it's been a blast, and we highly encourage, if you want to just come and hang out and listen to us in Discord, you're more than welcome to. Please, by all means. If you want to roll up a character, even better. Just hit me up and I'll let you know what the details are. Beyond that, I've been moderating over at Time Lord Wife, Kayla's channel, where every Sunday at this point she is running her Homebrew Curse of Strahd campaign. We just had session 1, so it is a heck of a lot of fun, a lot of good storytelling, fun cast, and I highly recommend joining us. That takes place right after Blue Box's Sunday stream. Right after the Here's a Sandpoint, you can go from there right to Ravenloft.
Yeah, we raid right in there. And so we got lots of folks on tonight. Before we go to Kristoph, I want to say hello to all of you. Well, as many as I can see on the chat. We have Lawful Stupid. Jade is with us tonight. They are nothing. They are absolutely as far from stupid as you can get. Witty, intelligent, incredible D&D coming from across the pond, as they say. Good friends of the channel. I have got your Discord message, by the way, Jade, and I will respond. It's a really good question. You brought something to my attention I had not had before, so we're going to really have to dive into that together, my friend. Anna B. Meyer is with us, the maker of all things cartographical excellence. And so good to have Anna with us tonight. And then we also have... missed one. Weirdo. Thank you. Gimbal. Rory, good to see you. There was one more. Bill. Yes, I knew it. Bill the Master Crafter of Jay's channel primarily. But I've got the virtual Greyhawk screen up right now on the window. And you are not going to want to miss this. Virtual Greyhawk Con, October 1st through 3rd. We have all kinds of amazing content, great DMs, multiple streams coming from all over the globe. The Lawful Stupid, aforementioned, is going to be streaming from England, and they're going to have all kinds of content that they're pushing out. We got stuff here in the U.S. We've got fans from Iceland, the Netherlands, everywhere across the world. It's going to be so much fun. On that Friday night, though, I really want to talk about my Friday night stream. I think it's 5 o'clock Central Time. I have to double check the Evelyn will correct me if I'm wrong. And I've got a great stream that night. I'm featuring a really cool mini. You probably know if you've watched the stream much. It includes the artwork of Mike Disney. But then I'm just blown away. Bill, the Master Crafter, Satcher Scorn in our chat, he has made a terrain piece for my table just out of friendliness, gratitude for the community, and he's been sending me it is absolutely incredible. So I just can't wait for this con, not for gaining viewers or followers or just to showcase the content. I'm going to run one of Carlos Lysing's modules, Castle Entertainment. I'm going to show the Mike Disney Mini and the Reaper Bones 5. I'm going to show the work of Bill the Master Crafter. We're just going to have so much fun in this thing. So make sure you mark your calendar October 1st through 3rd with Virtual Greyhawk Con. All right.
It's 6 on Friday.
6 Eastern or Central?
7 Eastern, 6 Central, I believe.
Okay. All right. Good. I got to adjust my calendar. See, she keeps me straight.
It says 7 p.m. while I'm looking at tabletop.
No, I'm sure you're right. I would never question that. All right. So, and then tonight, of course, we are joined by the eminent, the magnanimous, the legendary Kristoph of Greyhawk Online, Oerth Journal, the Greyhawk Online Wiki, and all things Greyhawkery. Kristoph, thanks for being with us tonight, my friend. Tell us about anything you'd like to talk about real quick, and we're going to jump right into the content in just a moment.
Great. Well, first, it's really great to be here. I'm thrilled that you invited me to be on the show. Honestly, it's continuing projects. The Oerth Journal, keeping up with the wiki. My God, that's a lot. I think there's like 3,200, something like that, over 3,000 pages now. Just massive amounts of content, and we have probably 3 or 4 core editors. A couple of which are really active almost every day. I'm constantly editing and updating stuff like that, and especially on the back end, coding and whatnot. The Oerth Journal, for those who may not know, Greyhawk Online produces the Oerth Journal, which is a fan dedicated magazine that is made by fans for fans of Greyhawk, and we've had a couple of professional authors in there, a couple of very, very popular Greyhawk published authors. There have been Dragon Magazine and other stuff, like the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer. Gary Holian's been there. Lance Havermail's been there. Jay has been there. John, you've been there. But Oerth Journal 35 had some printing issues and went out a little bit later than we expected. So it's gotten out to all the fans right now who receive. The donors and supporters receive a print copy, and now here in the next few days, hopefully, before the technical end of summer, the summer issue is coming out. Oerth Journal number 36, and it has a lot of stuff about that's tied to Midsummer and Richfest, and there's actually an adventure in this one. A lot of really cool stuff coming out in Oerth Journal 36.
No, that's fantastic, Carl. And we want to jump right into that, Kristoph. So, how did you get involved with the Oerth Journal, with Greyhawk Online? I know there were others that were engaged before. You took over some work from Gary and from others. How did you get started with this?
So blind stumbling, I think, is probably the most descriptive way of the way I get into it. Obviously, I was a fan just like, anybody else back in like 96 and stuff when Gary Holian and Eric Mona and Lisa Stevens and all the crew were back in the AOL folders back in the day. And so I'd kind of known them for a long time. Kind of fell out of gaming for a little bit, but in 07 came back and, the IRC chat, again, Gary Holian hosting Cannon Fire and all kinds of stuff. And I was just kind of one of those fans that floated around in the background and stuff like that. In the Living Greyhawk days, there was a fella named Isaac Haywood, and he ran, or he was part of the Pale, and he maintained a bunch of websites, like the site for the Living Greyhawk Pale and stuff like that. He also started Greyhawk Online. After Living Greyhawk ended and 4th edition came out and all that, Isaac just kind of fell away from gaming. And so I happened to be looking up on the internet one time and found out how to look at like the registration for domain names and stuff like that. And I was like, I think I'll randomly look up a website and see, how this works. And the one I decided to look up was Greyhawk Online. And turned out Isaac, and I'd known Isaac since like the Cannon Fire IRC days, and turned out Greyhawk Online was about to expire, and it was about to just
wow
the internet. And how it is. They say they say all the time, nothing ever disappears when you put it on the internet. Not always true. There's websites that die or disappear all the time, which is what the Wayback Machine is all about. And so I didn't have contact information for Isaac anymore, and so I got in touch with a mutual friend, Alan Grodog. And he got with Isaac got with him, Isaac then could get to me, all that kind of stuff. And I said, look, man, I don't want Greyhawk Online to disappear. It's got really great stuff. It had links, it had, all kinds of stuff on it, way back in the day when stuff like that wasn't easy to find. And I said, I would be happy to not let Greyhawk Online disappear, and I would like to buy Greyhawk Online from you. And he basically said, like, come on, man, I'm not going to sell it to you. I'll just give it to you. And so he did. And ever since then, for about the past 3 or 4 years, something like that now, I've been the publisher of Greyhawk Online, and we did a really big, massive overhaul. And kind of along with that, all the way back to, I think, issue 18, the Oerth Journal was credited, Greyhawk Online was credited as the provider for the Oerth Journal, and they were the ones that hosted it and stuff originally. And then, obviously it got mirrored like on Cannon Fire and some other places and Blogspot.
Right.
But Greyhawk Online was the host or publisher or producer, not publisher, but provider or whatever.
Right.
And so the previous editor, Rick Miller, had a hard time finding content way back in the day, because it wasn't as easy as it is now with social media, when you can actually find fans and stuff now. Back in the 90s and the early thousands, that content was hard to find. And so I talked to Rick and said, look, you were the last editor of the magazine. I don't know if you have time or if you want to. And he said kind of like, well, I don't really have time, but I'd like to work on it kind of with you. And the very first Oerth Journal was 28 when it came back from kind of being on hiatus for a few years. And we originally produced it as just kind of a handout for a seminar that we were all doing at GaryCon. And it was Alan Groy.
No kidding. I had no idea. This is fantastic. There's so much background here I didn't know, and I'm watching the chat. A lot of the folks in the chat did not know this either. That's cool.
Yeah.
Continue.
So it was actually, let's see, Jay, Lord Gasumba, Brian Blumklotz, Sarah Senes, Anna Meyer, Carlos Lysing, Alan Groy, I think that's everybody, and myself. We were all given a seminar at GaryCon. And we came up with the idea, hey, everybody loves swag. Let's give out some handouts. Let's do all this stuff. And I said, well, hey, I'm thinking about, I'm going to, publish the Oerth Journal now. How about we do all of these, handouts and giveaways as a magazine and put it all in one big thing and have it printed. We'll have like 100 copies printed and we'll just give it out for free. And so we did, and a couple of people kind of donated to help me get it printed and that kind of stuff, and we took it and just gave it out all over the place, and to all, specifically to all the seminar attendees and all the authors and artists that had contributed. And so Jay, Lord Gasumba, happened to have been one of the contributors and stuff, and he helped get it printed. And so I sent him his author's copy.
Right.
And one day on Lord Gasumba's show, he said, and guess what I've got? I've got, this, and he held it up on stream and said, this is the only Oerth Journal at the time that had ever been in print. And somebody offered him $100 for it. And so I got to talking with Jay, and I was like, if one of your viewers is that interested in a print magazine, maybe we should take that into consideration, and maybe we should.
I had no idea that's what happened. That's incredible.
Yeah. So now that's why you can support the OJ and get the Oerth Journal in print.
No, and that's so. I want to come back to several stories there.
Okay.
But clearly there has been no Oerth Journal like OJ34. And here's my signed copy from Kristoph. And of course, while this was amazing for a number of reasons, you cannot have a bad episode with Iglewiv as a subject in it. But it was, in fact, the reference to, and this blew me away because I was a Greyhawk fan starting off early on in my days as a D&D player in the late 70s, early 80s. But then I fell in love with Dark Sun later on, and I never realized the influences that Greyhawk, specifically the Sea of Dust and the Dry Steppes, had on Dark Sun. And so the Greyhawk, my conversations with Kristoph led to this article, this short story, and Kristoph helped with all the artwork on it about Thri-kreen in what everyone agrees, well, maybe not, everyone in my house agrees, was the best ever OJ. So lots of thank you, Kayla. Yes, all has been well. Lots of chat happening. There's a lot of gratitude to you, Kristoph. We'll talk about that later. But I want to ask the chatters, please ask questions. So let us know what you'd like to see us talk about tonight. And I'm going to switch now to Robert. Robert, you've been a contributor. You have helped, like you do with this whole community. You're just you're everywhere, man. I don't know. It's like amazing how much that you invest. Talk to us about the wiki, about GHO, Oerth Journal, and like what you've been involved with.
So yeah, actually, my experience with Oerth Journal came probably issue 33. I think was the first one when the Patreon may have been earlier, but it's only really honestly been relatively recently. The idea of being able to get a physical copy of the issue was just fantastic, and the artwork, it just evokes all the old school feels. Something that kind of hard to, sometimes it's kind of hard to do these days. But then being able, and Kristoph giving me the opportunity to do some editing for these articles has just been really special. There's nothing quite like seeing your name up there when you have a physical copy of something in your hand that you had a small part in helping bring to life. I can honestly say I was happy to be one of the people who edited your Thri-kreen article, so which was really cool. When I found out that it was you who had written it,
I knew there's some really crappy edits in there. That had to be yours.
But yeah, no, I mean, as far as the wiki goes, the wiki, I've talked a lot about the fact that I have a lot of Greyhawk stuff, both all the second edition stuff, first edition stuff. But when I unless I specifically know where something sits in terms of an answer that I'm looking for, or I'm looking to verify something, the wiki is my go-to spot. I mean, anything I need, I can find it there, and then at that point, maybe I'll go and find whatever resource it's referring to. Sometimes, there's so much information, especially for somebody who pretty much every campaign I run, any homebrew campaign I run is going to be set in Greyhawk for the most part. So yeah, having that information in hand has been completely invaluable. Can't put a price on it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a moment because I've used this wiki so much, and especially now as I'm diving back in and prep for book 2 of Greyhawk Awakening, which we'll talk about a little bit later. It has just been absolutely invaluable. I could not be prepping for my campaign without this wiki, and I want to talk about it. Thank you for the sub again, Death Ray in a good way, one of my favorite usernames. We all have all kinds of good ones here. But I want to move away from the product for a second, and we're going to come right back to it. I want to let Kristoph to show us whatever he would like to. Hopefully the OBS link we have is working. I haven't tested it since you dropped off and came back on. But I want to go to sort of more of the motivation for you, Kristoph, and you sort of, hey Tim, good to see you. Why you do this? Like what made you reach out? Why did you rescue GHO from the jaws of death? What is your passion for this world, this game? And like, you spend a lot of time. Like, you and I have talked several times. Thank you so much for having coffee with me. You came out to Nashville. We had a great time. I really enjoyed meeting you in person.
I did. That was a lot of fun.
It was a blast. I loved it. But like, what motivates you with this? Like, why do you engage with it?
So one of the biggest things, I hadn't thought about it in a long time. I mean, and it's one of those things, like when you do something for so long, you don't often stop to think about, why am I still doing this, kind of thing. And I saw on Reddit I don't know, some months back, and somebody asked why Greyhawk, and that question's been asked like a dozen times on a dozen different platforms, and in dozen different forums and everything else. And I looked at some of the answers, and I started typing one of my own, and it really made me think. And just as far as the setting goes, like one of the things is that there's all kinds of fantasy, and Forgotten Realms is its own genre, and even Dark Sun is its own genre and stuff like that. But the thing that didn't used to exist so much when I was a kid was historical fantasy. And now that is like its own subgenre of fantasy.
Right.
And I like the idea of like a very, very similar world to our own, only with magic, in that it's very gritty, it's very real. The peasants throw their, night buckets out into the street, and it's a smelly metropolis, and it's,
right.
It's just very real. And it's not super high fantasy, and it's not super low fantasy and gritty, and it's that historical fantasy that I really, really love, because that's what I always imagined most of it when I was a kid. But then at some point, I remember myself getting like the first, the Greyhawk Adventures hardback or whatever, and I remember not knowing anything about Greyhawk, and not knowing, and I remember being surprised to find oh, Mordenkainen is somebody, or oh, Bigby is, wait a minute, that other book mentioned Bigby, and wait a minute, Bigby's in the player's handbook, and the more I found out about the world, the more I looked into Dungeons and Dragons, the more Greyhawk it became. The further you go back into the history of D&D, the more Greyhawk there is. And so there wasn't any place to look, there wasn't any place to read, there wasn't any place to know, and eventually finding out that there were people out there that knew so much of this stuff, and it just, back then, I mean, in the 90s and stuff, nobody, there was no way to get to the other people to have that kind of information unless you happened to be in the industry or went to a convention and met them or whatever. And so, even things like the IRC was hard. If you didn't know how to get on the IRC.
Right. Of course.
And AOL simplified that a lot, and a lot of us started kind of getting together and stuff like that. So many of these people went on, to have big careers or whatever. But the biggest thing for me is that I know there are other fans out there who never read the Gord novels,
right.
Lots of information, that can be, used for fun. And I know that there are other DMs out there that have amazing ideas, that are fun to play with, that just, they haven't met another player or whatever. And so the big thing for Greyhawk Online and the wiki and the Oerth Journal, all of it, is fans creating and sharing for the world of Greyhawk. And that's our tagline on the website. And the big thing is just not just creating, but sharing, and putting information out there, and putting, nowadays, blogs out there and live streams out there, and, art and images and maps, and all this stuff that people create, and it's all by fans. And they're, what drives me is just that I know that there are fans out there who would love this stuff, who just have never gotten a chance to interact with it, and the minute they interact with it, they fall in love with Greyhawk.
Well, look, I mean, that has absolutely been my experience. As you know, Kristoph, I've got a lot of players and fans who are younger. Well, it's not hard to be younger than me. I'm not old yet, but I'm certainly not a spring chicken. I've got a lot of fans that are younger than me. I got a lot of players that are younger than me. I've got people that were only raised on 5e. It was their first entrant into D&D. But when they connect with Blue Box and they see what we're doing, they come in and then they connect with Greyhawk and they see the history and the lore. They're turned on by it. They dive deeper and deeper. These backstories that are coming for Greyhawk Book 2. I've got these 24-year-old, 23-year-old, 28-year-old, people sending me links with articles and content about Greyhawk that I didn't even know because they're diving in so deeply.
Exactly.
It really does get people excited.
And that is the most rewarding thing. And like, especially like new books like Ghost of Saltmarsh. Like, if I remember, I can honestly say, when I want to say I was 16 or 17 years old, just shy of 18, and I was I want to say maybe I was 18. At any rate, the very first time I ever DM'd, one of my buddies said, "Hey, I've got this old adventure. You can run it and you can learn how to DM, and me and another buddy will play for you and stuff and whatever." And it was the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first thing I ever DM'd. And unless somebody's friggin' 48 years old, like they haven't, played that, especially like you said in 5th edition. And so to me, when brand new fans get to experience the same thing I experienced,
Right.
and a brand new DM can say, "Man, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh was the first thing I ever ran," or like Bigby's Grasping Hand was the first spell I ever cast, or Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion or Faithful Hound or whatever, and
Right.
like they can now associate those things with Greyhawk because they looked it up on a wiki, or they read one of David Leonard's stories, or they looked it up on Greyhawk Musing, or they looked at the Domain of Greyhawk is another blog, or they looked at Greyhawk Mike's Greyhawkery.
Right.
They have a first experience too, and that I think is probably the greatest thing about it, is that the fans are sharing and they get to have that oh my god, wow moment.
No, I love that. And so we're going to go to Evelyn and Robert here in a second with other thoughts and questions. I know we've had a couple comments in the chat that might be worthy of mentioning. But while you were talking, I was able to, in the wiki, you mentioned Mordenkainen, Bigby. I type Mordenkainen, I type Bigby, boom, everything comes up. And this is not just Greyhawk stuff. This is now woven into all the new lore. It's part of the 5e stuff. You've got Tensor, you've got Autolic, you've got Mordenkainen, you've got all of these spells which were part of the original game, they're carried over now into the 5e lore and legend. So you can find not just what's published by WotC today about that content, you can find much deeper content that goes back through the history of that lore in the wiki. And I've got that the wiki up right now for, not the wiki, for Bigby. And I had Mordenkainen. If I go back here, you'll see him. And just, it's so neat to be able to dive into this. You got everything from spells, writings, early life, adventuring career. If you're a DM, this is invaluable. If you're a player, you can find so much content here to write your backstory and develop your character. It's all at your fingertips, instantaneous. It is the Google for Greyhawk, which by definition becomes the Google for D&D. All right, Robert, Evelyn, what questions or thoughts do you have?
We do have a question in chat from Kayla, Time Lord's wife. Question for Kristoph. Favorite gods in Greyhawk lore?
Oh, favorite gods? I've honestly, I don't play clerics a lot, and I'm one of those players that I tend to like doing a pantheon kind of thing when my characters will say something like if they're saying I have to do it myself, they say well, Paylor's not going to bring in the grain, or they'll say damn, Relish has his luck. So I tend to use a lot of deities just in kind of general role play. Honestly, one of my favorite fun ones that a lot of people don't like is Merlin.
I don't like him.
Yeah,
six shooters.
But go ahead.
I like really medievaling him up, and giving him still a wide-brimmed hat, but a much more medieval-looking hat, or giving him a vest, but it's more of a waistcoat, whatever. But I had somebody play a paladin of him, and he was a lot of fun to DM. Honestly, one of the ones I really like is Beori. I really like Beori and her counterpart, Crud. Beret and Beori. And one is the Earth itself, and the other is Mother Nature, and they're kind of two different, but parallel spirits. And I like how they're separate and different from Obat High. I think if I had to say one of like my absolute favorite, it's probably pretty boring, but I like playing a paladin of Paylor.
Paladins are never boring, sir. They are the foundation of all great roleplay. There has never been a proper D&D game played that did not include a paladin. Good night, lawful stupid. Find that pillow of +5 sleep, my friend. You are on the other side of the world. You should be in bed. Thank you for the compliment, and you are always loved here. What else do we have, Robert?
So I also have a question coming to me from Kayla. What is my favorite location, Greyhawk? It is actually Furiandi. I was I love the Temple of Elemental Evil, or at least the Village of Hamlet and that entire story. But part of the temple story is the fact that the Crown Prince, the Crown Prince of Furiandi has gone missing, which was supposed to, and this happened years before, but it was supposed to be part of a marriage with the Princess of the Luna, which was supposed to unite the two countries. And there's all kinds of political ramifications that go along with that. That entire area between Verbabank, Hamlet, Furiandi, and Valuna, plus obviously you have Ayuz to the north, is just rife with political intrigue. It's a land it's supposed to be one of the bastions of good, which everyone knows the paladin that I am. Look, gotta love a place where you've got the Knights of the Heart. Furiandi for the win. Going back in terms of other stuff, Kristoph had mentioned Greyhawk Adventures. For me, it was the Rogues Gallery, the original Rogues Gallery, which had, when I first got it, I wasn't quite sure what it was when I first bought it, but has stat blocks for all these characters, and including all the big names that Now, granted, there are stat blocks that somebody put in. There was a Brian Bloom product apparently, but it had Mordenkainen, it had Bigby, it had Robillard, it had all of them, and it's like, wait, and then the Greyhawk box set came out, and back then that was the campaign setting. There was nothing.
Right, that was it. Yeah.
That was it. So I was like, wait, you're telling me that these characters are in here? I sold. I was a teenager with only so much money, from paper routes and such. But yeah, no, that's where my money was going for sure. And it's been a love affair ever since. I mean, there's just so much to it. It's the perfect sandbox world because it's not overdone. There's plenty left to the imagination. You can literally make it whatever the heck you want it to be, and it's still my favorite setting.
All right, so let me jump in real quick because I want to come to Evelyn in a second. But what you just said is a nice segue. So you can make it whatever you want to be. There is so much published content, right? I mean, 40 years. You got 4 decades of work. You got all kinds of stuff in the Dragon magazines. You have all the published canon, Living Greyhawk. You've got the entire box set for the Free City of Greyhawk. You got Greyhawk Adventures. There is so much content, and yet this massive continent of the Flonesse is largely untouched. As an example, I'm in the Great Kingdom for GHA Book 2, and there is precious little content about what's going on in the Great Kingdom. Of course, you have everything with Ivid the Undying and the consumption of Roxas inside this magical wall sphere, whatever it is. But when you dive into the coastal cities, Ralastra and something like, there is not a whole lot available, which is glorious because you as a DM then can take the established canon, hint, hint, what's happening in Blue Box next week, and then grow from that without contradicting any of the great work that's been done before. Now, where you can go again, I'm here on the Greyhawk Wiki. Let's go to Ralastra. And this is something we're going to be doing here in part of book 2. Whoops, I did it wrong here.
There is no page called Loremaster.
I had it. I did it. Oh, you know what? I did it before. This would go Great Kingdom. I'll fight it that way. I forget how I got there earlier. This is live streaming, folks. All right, so here's the Great Kingdom. Rel, that's why I misspelled it, dummy. Rox's is the aforementioned consumed. Relastra here, this is the one I was looking for. And, you know, there's quite a bit of stuff here, but it's not a lot for an entire coastal city. And this is, by the way, not because of a paucity of information on the Greyhawk Wiki. It's because it doesn't exist. I've searched for it everywhere. So you have both the most written about and lore just rife world with the Flyness and Greyhawk, but still ample sandbox opportunity for a DM.
By the way, if you're looking for a resource on the Great Kingdom, I highly recommend sitting down with Asher because he is the Great Kingdom resource.
I've heard that before. Asher, are you still on with us tonight? I saw him earlier. Hey, Sparky, good to see you. Thanks for being with us tonight. Fraley, I think we're going to get that 3D printing LMA online for next week. Donald, good to see you as well. Electrified Pan, good to see you, my friend. Lots of folks popping in. Thank you so much. Asher, you're on. All right. Asher, Robert is right. I'm going to make a public plea. I don't need you to do anything right now, but I'm going to message you on my Discord, or you message me. I really want to talk to you before next Tuesday because I'm kicking off this campaign and I have a lot of ideas, but I'm having a hard time pulling it all together. I still have the meta narrative and the arcs. Those are ready to go. But hey, thank you for the sub, TTPRG Academy. But I could definitely use some help. So Asher, you will be my guy. Then also a quick commercial here. As we've mentioned, next week, Greyhawk Awakening, Book 2. All part of the same story. Dun, dun, dun. All part of the same story. So this is not just, these guys, book 1 still, all those PCs still live. Well, not all of them. Rest in peace, Millie. But most of the...
every time, man. Seems every time.
Man, it hurts just watching Evelyn's face when that
happens. I know. But... and all the NPCs, we've lost some in book 1, but everyone that survived, which includes Rayam, which is the anagram for Anna B. Meyer. Rayam, the ranger, still lives. To everyone's delight, Yaj Tox still lives, anagram for J. Scott. We'll have to do one for Kristoph. Maybe that'll be a new NPC that I'll have in book 2. We'll see what, I think he's going to be a bard in book 2. That's what I would want. Thank you, Asher, for the sub. And yeah, definitely, my friend, let's talk this week. So next Tuesday night, I'm not fully ready yet. I'm just going to be honest, but I am working my rear end off. New visuals, new character art, second part of the story, all interwoven, but still sandboxy. The players control the story. You have the BBEGs. Yes, they're still doing what they're doing, right? So they're not directly influenced by the players, but what the players do influence how the story unfolds. And so join us this coming Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Oh, and I'll announce what the giveaway is in here in a moment. So, Evelyn, what else do you have for us in the chat?
Well, Kayla asked me a question as well, and she asked me what my character's name is, but you'll have to tune in next week to find out.
But they might get some other hints, right? Isn't there something else we might give them for hints, Evelyn?
There will be things that will be out on social media soon, so keep your eyes peeled. I am working on something right now, but yes, so yeah, I've been working on finishing up that backstory because it's really long, John. I'm sorry, you're gonna have a bit of reading for this.
Well,
one.
yeah, I love this because the backstories are important to kick off episode 1, and I've still got a couple that the players are architecting their 40-page novels on. So then the DM has to synthesize all of this and make context work. So that's the fun part of.
I've been doing so much research in the wiki, because I've never played a dwarf before, and so I'm like, okay, I gotta learn everything.
Oh, spoiler! We got a spoiler there.
Well, this was told in the when we rolled up our characters. So
Exactly. So I want to go a little bit longer. Kristoph, are you okay for another 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of things that I'd like to respond to. So yeah, definitely. Another 30 minutes is just fine.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to grab the giveaway. And so I'm going to be away for just a second while I grab that. And then Evelyn and Robert, why don't you run this with Kristoph? And then Kristoph, real quick, let me test. Do you have the Ninja link up where you can show your screen?
Yeah.
Yep, it is. It's working. So I'm seeing the serpent.
Yeah.
All right, good. So you are live on our video.
That's the one that I have up. Crap, yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. But whatever we can see it, and I'll be right back. I'm going to grab that giveaway.
Since I happen to have the serpent up, that's one of really great example of the things on the wiki. And for those viewers who have never been there, the wiki that we keep talking about is the Great Library of Greyhawk, is the name of the wiki, and it's at greyhawkonline.com/Greyhawk Wiki. It's really easy to remember. So the serpent actually goes back to the story of Vecna. And a lot of people aren't familiar with the story of Vecna. And that happens to have been a page that I was just editing earlier today. And there's matter of fact, I happen to have it right here next to me. A really uncommon, rare book, graphic novel that is by Thor Magnusson. It's a graphic novel about the origins of Vecna. It's called Vecna: Hand of the Revenant. It's really, really hard to find. Never sold in PDF because it was back in the 90s. And shockingly, there's never been like pirated PDFs of it or anything like that even. But there are some things in there that had never been talked about or covered before. And the serpent is one that was covered in like Vecna Reborn, Die Vecna Die, that whole series. And it's alluded to that there is this actual real personification or incarnation, if you will, of the actual force of energy itself. It's not like a god of magic like Bacchus or like a god of magic like Corellon or anything. Like it's the actual force of the ley lines of energy itself, like its inherent, personification or incarnation of it. And according to legend, and that book is actually in character. It's penned by Uhas of Nelly, the very famous scribe in Greyhawk. And so, according to legend and whatnot, this spirit actually spoke to Vecna himself and taught him a lot of his magics and the secrets of lichdom and all that kind of stuff. And those things are really rare. And that's the kind of thing, like John was talking about, that it's really great to find these little nuggets that are almost impossible to find anywhere else. And I was taking information from my graphic novel and putting it on that page because otherwise nobody would ever be able to find it.
I had no idea that existed.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
And I even covered like some of the publishing history and how it's changed, between various editions and stuff like that. And really, really interesting. The serpent happens to be, actually, somebody asked what is one of my favorite gods. I should have said the serpent. Moxlick is definitely probably one of the top ones that I love.
Nice. Very cool.
Evelyn, was there, I think somebody asked a question earlier, Biggie Paw, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Toriano, yep.
Something about reinvigorating Greyhawk or something like that. Reinvigorating Greyhawk Online or something like that. I don't know if Biggie Paw is still here or not. If they can repeat the question. They asked me something about reinvigorating.
Yeah, I think Toriano's still on. Biggie Paw, that's Toriano. He's with us. He just gave an LOL.
I think I found.
So, what was the hardest part about bringing back to life Greyhawk Online?
Great question.
Oh, okay. That's easy. Authors. 100% authors. And a lot of it comes down to kind of like I was just talking about the serpent. I happen to have a favorite thing. Like anybody out there that has a love of Greyhawk, like if your favorite thing is that one shipwright in the city of Greyhawk who happens to repair spelljammers, go to a page and just read it. And if it needs more information, just click the edit button and type it in. We don't care about formatting. We don't care about most all of that. You know, if you can give us a hint at where it came from and not you're just typing off your top of your head, but just type in there and we will edit it and format it and everything. But we just need people to write it.
So Evelyn, do we have a way to...
Oerth Journal is the same way.
Do we have a way to pop the link in where you can, like, if you want to edit that wiki, where do you go?
Yeah. So if you look at the page on the serpent, like that you had up for
can you yeah, it's still up. Can you zoom in so it's a little bit small right now?
So on any particular section,
there you go. Much better. Yeah, there you go.
Like if you look at description, there's an edit link right next to it. In relationships, there's an edit link right next to it.
So just typical wiki.
Any particular section that you want to look at, or also in always in the upper right hand corner with the other tabs, there is an edit button or an edit link right there at the very top of any page. So you can edit the page as a whole, or you can edit a section. And that's literally all it takes. And like, I'll even edit a little bit of a section. All you do is you just click the button and you get like a plain text code sort of looking thing of that version of that thing. And if you wanted to say the serpent is a big nosy dumbbell, you can put that. and then you just scroll down to the bottom. It's not a minor edit because you're adding new content. You just click show preview and it'll literally show you a preview of what you're about to put in. Obviously I'm not going to put that in, but,
right.
If it's something you want to use, you just click save changes. And there's a lot of really cool tools and formatting and bold and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to use it, you can, but we format everything. It's kind of like the OJ as well. Like if we just have to have people submit stuff, and if you wrote a cool campaign, write us a brief outline, and give a plot description, and we can publish that as a one-page article, or if like this issue we have the most fantastic little first level adventure idea, and the guy who sent it in, he hadn't written a lot before, and so this is like his basically I think his first time ever being published. But we've been working with him a lot, and like our editors have been really refining the DCs and the descriptions and sending back and forth with him, and like an editorial process, which is what magazines do. And it helps him know what to write. It helps him get better at his writing, and because we get great adventure ideas, it helps us with content. And that's the hardest part about reinvigorating Greyhawk Online, is just getting people to think that their stuff is definitely good enough to submit, and everybody's is.
Love it. So you hear the heartfelt plea. Kristoph Nolan, editor of the Greyhawk Wiki, says content is king. So don't just make crap up. Please don't spam it with nonsense. But if you have a valid canon that you've seen in other locations, you can pop in that wiki. It's so easy to edit, and it's helpful to us as we grow this. This wiki is helping a lot of people, and Greyhawk, guys, it's growing. Don't think this is anachronistic. This is not the past. This is the past and the future. Greyhawk is going to grow, and it's a big, big part of what's happening in D&D right now. Couple things I wanted to say real quickly. Anna B. Meyer, thank you so much. She's been super active in chat tonight. Her maps, of course, are they are new canon. They are absolutely revered by all the folks that are running Greyhawk campaigns. Iculus, Josh, excited about book 2. Thank you so much. And yes, you got a friend that's checking all the VODs. That's awesome. And I was going to show you, Evelyn, you can't answer because I know you know the answer. I'll let Kristoph, because he might know, because he commented when I did this the first time. He probably forgot. It's okay, Kristoph. I feel you, man. We're busy. Robert may or may not know. What did I give away at the beginning of book 1 of Greyhawk?
Oh, dear God.
Greyhawk Awakening, Book 1, first stream, I gave away something pretty cool. Kristoph knows. Go ahead, Kristoph.
I think you gave away a World of Greyhawk box set.
This is the giveaway this Tuesday night, as identified by Kristoph. So, this Tuesday night, we are going to give away, as we kick off Book 2, it's a celebration. It may stink. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see, but I don't care. Everyone that joins with us, we're going to give this away on Tuesday night next week. We're going to keep propagating Greyhawk all throughout our community here at Blue Box. So
I'm looking at that clean box and I'm weeping.
I was just thinking, man, I wish mine looked like that.
Yeah, I'm looking over at mine, which is sitting on the other table over there, and it's got the corners split because, those
all mine are
never, over and over and over again, all of them. My guess would have been a printing of the Greyhawk Folio, so it was close.
No, I looked at that too, but I just love the glossography set. It's so gorgeous. It's just amazing. So it's got all the maps.
Honestly,
yeah, go ahead.
I didn't find out that the Folio existed until like this past 2 years. I didn't realize it was a thing, because I had the box set. I had never seen the Folio, and I thought they were just talking about one of the books in the box set. But yeah, so that was cool.
Well, they're actually fairly comparable. I mean, it's just a little saddle stitched booklet,
right?
The same as the glossography is just a saddle stitched booklet inside the box.
Yeah.
Hey, Greyhawk Mike, thanks for jumping in with us. Shaw Hunter, good to see you as well. All right, so we have just a little bit of time left, but I really want to maximize this with Kristoph. And, of course, we will raid into Jay. And Jay, he's a big fan of our show. We're big fans of his show. We're friends. So if we just run a little bit into his intro session, he will not be mad if you stick with us while we talk to Kristoph. Evelyn, any other thoughts you have from the chat? I'm going to make sure I don't miss anything because I know you're on it like a hawk.
I haven't seen anything additionally question-wise yet.
Okay. All right. So, Kristoph, back to you. You had talked about some things you might like to show. You had the serpent up. Is there anything else either in the wiki or the GHO that you would like to show on the stream tonight?
There's a couple of things. One I will say, we've had, I don't want to say issues. We had a problem back around the beginning of the year with the code that ran the site and stuff like that. So we've had some problems posting some types of articles and things like that. But I want to I'd like to show like one of the other kinds of content, basically.
Okay. And if you could go ahead and zoom that just a bit as well.
So I actually just used the search function on Greyhawk Online.
Perfect.
Just right over there on the right hand side is a little search magnifying glass and stuff. So like these are the two articles that are there are actually about the artwork of Tensor that was actually done by a fan and given to Ernest Gygax, who actually played Tensor originally and stuff like that. And like it's all about the artwork itself, and and getting to visit with Ernest Gygax's going to his house, talking to him and stuff like that. But it's I am an artist myself. I'm a freelance portrait illustrator, and I've done stuff in the industry and stuff like that. But that's not going to give me the right result, or I spelled that wrong. So I tend to like a lot of artwork myself, and I like to feature, the art of Greyhawk and stuff like that. And some of the, like this article here is about the Greyhawk maps by Rob Lazzaretti. And it's all about his history and like some of the interesting sketches that he's released on Twitter that weren't actually parts of the map or whatever. They were just his studies and stuff like that for making the maps. And like here, like this is a list of some of the maps that he's done, you know, for Greyhawk. You know, I mean, there's, you know, he did so much of what became iconic locations for Greyhawk. So like, you know, he had an amazing career, and I mean, just look at all those maps. You know, I mean, every one of those.
Wow.
You know, he just had a very, very amazing career, still working in the industry and stuff like that. You know, so, but on every one of these articles and stuff, there's comment sections and things like that, and you can ask questions, and you know, hope, you know, and we respond to them whenever somebody asks a question on the bottom of a page or something like that. One of the other well, I was trying to find
Take your time.
I'm
It's
not
fine.
going to be able to like pull them up like I wanted to. Awful.
No worries.
I can't remember the web addresses of my own pages off the top of my head. So this is another one, is Gord's Greyhawk. Back in the 90s, there was a fan who, before Wikipedia ever existed, before like we have the wiki and stuff now, she created these individual web pages that had hyperlinks between all of basically the proper nouns, and they're, you know, for Greyhawk City and all the Greyhawk lands, the Eastern Marklands, the Bandit Kingdoms, the Great Kingdom, all of this stuff, all based on the Gord novels by Gary Gygax and later other authors. But, you know, at greyhawkonline.com/Gord or Gordmain, like there is just a plethora of stuff. And what we did is we got Krista's permission to essentially import all of her old pages to Greyhawk Online and kind of give them a newer, fresher look, and keep that information from disappearing from the internet, like I was talking about before. Like one of the greatest things is being able to preserve Greyhawk for a new generation, you know, and all those 5e fans and stuff like that who are interested in the Scarlet Brotherhood can look up the Scarlet Brotherhood from the Gord novels and see exactly how they were used in those novels, and some of the stuff that you know, and like you're writing the Great Kingdom, like if you want to find any inspiration that was in the novels, you know, you can look at, you know, all the stuff on, you know, the Great Kingdom. And keep in mind, this is all stuff that was text-based before the, you know, wikis or anything ever existed. And a lot of the stuff like from Gord's Greyhawk isn't necessarily in the wiki, because they're not necessarily, you know, like official, you know, canon or anything like that, but it still makes great content. And it doesn't matter if it's official or if it's part of whatever. If it's great content, it's great content.
No, well said. Pluffett Smedger said, I was at MIT with a siren in the same department. We never ran into each other.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we also have so many other great chats. I can't get through all of them. Greyhawk Mike, thanks for being with us. It's going to be amazing to see how this community continues to grow. You guys are just, thank you. Rob does have some nice work out there. And then that's our, I always get, Iceland, right? Natasha?
Iceland.
Yep, Natasha. That's our Iceland viewer. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Natasha.
Oh gosh, Evelyn, thank you very much for putting that link in.
Yes.
Yeah, and let's put it in one more time. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you just right there. I saw it. Okay, so yes, so Greyhawk Online, support what we do here with this community. It's really important to keep putting the content out there for the newer generations and all that's happening with D&D. Now, Kristoph, do you ever get to play D&D yourself anymore?
not really.
Isn't that sad? I weep a tear
I'm
for
kind of
you.
the eternal DM. Like I haven't gotten to play obviously since the pandemic. Just before I had a campaign for a year or so. I was the DM. Honestly, I'm such a storyteller that like getting to read and write and stuff, all the stuff for, you know, like when somebody sends me something for the OJ, that is so exciting to me because it's like I get to read a new Greyhawk story, you know, and like I kind of like I'm such a storyteller. Like honestly, when I'm DMing, like it's so frustrating when like when the players want to just go absolutely left.
Because you have a
And,
great
like-
story for them to go right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, but this amazing story, this story. And so like I honestly like writing and stuff like that, because it means that the players can't go left. But like I thoroughly enjoy getting, you know, people send me NPCs or a new spell or a new narrative piece or new fiction or, you know, like new lore, you know, like Greyhawk Mike did that piece on all the navies of the Flanaess, you know, and then we had a piece on all the monk orders of the Flanaess and stuff. Like, I mean, you know, those are just massive. And when people send me, and Gary Holian, oh my God, the Death Knight lore that he sent me, you know, over several issues and stuff. I mean, I don't get to play a whole lot, but like my love of Greyhawk comes from the lore. So a lot of the reason I do Greyhawk Online and the OJ is just because I love the stories so much.
I mean, you could not have said it better. That's awesome. The chat, yes. All right, so Antiquitous, of course, the Death Knight lore, shocker. And the Death Knight appeared briefly in Book 1 of Greyhawk Awakening, but there's much more to see with these Death Knights. And Seneca Old School, good night. Yeah, thank you so much for being with us tonight. All right, so as we conclude, beyond putting things inside the wiki, I want to know how we can support Greyhawk Online, the wiki, and the Oerth Journal. So you have a Jimmy, which is the replacement for Patreon. We posted that earlier. Why'd you make that switch?
So one of the big things is just that Patreon, when it first started and stuff, really great. You know, I mean, this idea of crowdfunding and stuff like that, and you know, monthly donations. You know, patrons in the very classical sense of having a patron for the arts kind of thing. But over the years, their percentages have just crept up too high. Like, and they have platform fees and transaction fees, and you know, they keep adding it on and on and on and on. When there's a problem, you can't get customer support. You know, it's this massive corporation, and it's even hard to find an address to send to and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is they did not allow anything other than an ongoing monthly subscription. And I actually got Greyhawk Online on the very beginning of Jimmy, and we've been a member of Jimmy for a very, very long time. We just had finally opened it to using it, because we waited a long time before, you know, for Jimmy to get a whole lot bigger and stuff like that before we did. But the biggest thing is that it allows us to have one-time transactions. So if somebody missed an issue and they want a back issue, they can donate and we can send them a copy of one of our back issues. Or if they only want to, if they want to decide, you know, how often they donate and not have an actual monthly subscription that comes out of their wallet, whether they want it to or not, you know, all of those kind of things, you know, it's just, you know, platform differences and the way I think it would best work for our audience. And so we switched over to jimmy.app, and it's really easy to find, just jemi.app/Greyhawk Online.
All right, and so if they support you on jemmy.app, you got different levels. What does it cost to get, because I know the answer to this, but I want you to say it, to get these gorgeous signed Oerth journals like these?
$1 million.
I think it was supposed to be billion when you do that, right? So this finger is
it?
billion.
Yeah,
I think
is
so.
the meme updated now? Yeah,
Inflation.
so there's like there's different levels, and like you can get the same levels whether you do it as a single donation or like a monthly thing. You know, like if you do it monthly, you know, it's like $4. You know, if you just pay for it all at once, it's like $12. You know, and there's, you know, contributing members. Like if you just want to say, hey, here's $5, thanks a bunch. You know, you can do that. If you're not interested in getting the magazine or anything like that and just want to offer support, you can just contribute a little bit, you know, and we appreciate that so much, because those little bits where we don't have to pay shipping for magazines, those really help out, because, you know, we're not paying, you know, anything out of what we're getting. But there's primary members, key members, there's even special benefactors. I would actually really love to shout out to our biggest donor, who I'm not going to get specific about.
Well, then you can't shout out if you're not specific. That's not a shout out.
I mean, how much he supports us, but it is Kevin Krause has been an amazing supporter ever since the very beginning. And he has continually shocked us with how much love he has shown. He's actually what we refer to as a principal benefactor. But we have like special benefactors that you can join on Jimmy.app. And like, you know, all of these people get their names in the magazine.
Hey, Danny wants to know, do special benefactors get warlocks? Well played.
Right?
Well played. Hey, look, so I'm competitive, and you just challenged me, so I got to figure out how to get on that special list. But no, it's amazing, but you also provide the PDFs for free, which is so cool, right? So they only charge you if they're going to ship you the content, you know, physical copies, which cost printing and all that, and they're gorgeous. I mean, I'll pull this up again. If you didn't see this earlier, it's not just the cover that's full color. The insides are full color. It's all glossy. This is a very like professionally published piece of content. And when you subscribe to that Jimmy, you get this. And if you, depending on the level, you can get it authored or probably signed by Kristoph. But even if you don't do any of that, it's provided free as a PDF on Greyhawk Online. It's great value. Thank you.
And that's actually one of the things is not only is that how we want it to be, is that fans can get it, you know, regardless. It's actually one of the things that is by the fan content policy that Wizards of the Coast allows us to use all of the Greyhawk IP. The content has to be provided for free, but the magazine has been free in PDF all the way back to 1995. You know, as long as it's been around, it is a free download for anybody to get whenever they want. It's at greyhawkonline.com/Oerth and like you can go back and get all the way from issue 1 in 1995 all the way up to issue 35 now, just a couple, you know, in the past couple of months.
Fantastic. I have one or two final questions, but Evelyn, Robert, what else would you like to address before we wrap up here with our friend Kristoph?
Well, so, you know, one thing I'd like to bring up in talking about bringing it Greyhawk to the new player, new people, you know, the 5e players and such. If, you know, Ghost of Saltmarsh is obviously very popular right now. There's plenty of streams. You can find them all over the place. In terms of other Greyhawk content, 4.5 that's published, 4.5e. If you happen to have a copy of Tales from the Yawning Portal, there are, I think, 6 adventures in there. Actually, one of them is actually more than one adventure, because I think they do all 3 giant novels, giant adventures. Like all but 2 of the adventures in there are actually set in Greyhawk, in the world of Greyhawk. They are, you know, 5e versions of classic 1e modules, including White Plume Mountain, which I just happened to run a few months ago for my players. So yeah, if there's 5e content. There are other companies that are doing reprints. Goodman Games is doing a 5e version. They're about to release the 5e version of Temple of Elemental Evil. So you don't have to go through the work of updating it yourself. You can run it right from their stuff.
Boom! Look at that, on point.
To the Barrier Peaks. There you go. Yeah. So it's available if you're interested. And as always, you can always hit me up because I'll help you through it.
Yeah, and we are all about that here at Blue Box. So, Evelyn and Robert, big parts of our Blue Box Discord, and you can pop in there, ask us questions anytime. We're also now sharing all the announcements from the Greyhawk Online Discord. So I think it's a good point for me to switch over. I was pulling up everything you said, Robert. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you can pop it in that wiki and it's right there. So some ways we're collaborating with the wiki and with Greyhawk Online. As we are growing our audience for Greyhawk Awakening, and again, next Tuesday night is the kickoff for Book 2. I hate this track. Hang on, let me get through this. This bugs me every time this pops up. I love Adrian Von Ziegler, by the way. This is free audio from him. I've talked about this before. It's license free. If you put it on your stream, you will not get dinged by YouTube. But we have all kinds of content that we're pushing out now for Greyhawk Awakening Book 2. And getting into this with the Great Kingdom, as I mentioned, it's challenging to find content. And you have so much content on your channel with your wiki. It's been so super helpful. As we get ready to wrap up, I want to talk about what we can do to help you. And one thing we're doing is we're going to start posting the links to everything. Thank you so much for the Smedger just got Pluffet. He got the gift sub from Danny Honeybee, and he joined. Thank you so much, my friend. A legend in the community. If you don't know Pluffet Smedger, you don't know Greyhawk and D&D. So thank you so much. And we're pushing out all this new content, and we want to help you in any way we can. So we're going to start linking in our Discord and in our chat live during our streams where you can find the world that we're in, the NPCs, if we're in Relastra, if we're in the Great Kingdom, if we're dealing with Ivid the Fourth, if we've got whatever it is, and we know it's in the wiki, we're going to post those links in our chat during stream, and we're going to post them in our Discord. And what this will do is helpful not only to you, but it's helpful to us because it really lets our fans, because we have lots, as I've said already, these fans who weren't part of the OG group, they're 22 years old. I had 19-year-old kids, 20-year-old kids in my room a week ago playing D&D, staring at these Dragon magazines and all this stuff. And this whole new generation, they're loving this old content. And so we're going to start making it easier for them to find that stuff on the wiki. We're going to start working on publishing articles in the OJ and on the front of Oerth Journal with things happening in Book 2, maybe player profiles, updates. We're going to be more active in the GHO Discord as well. Kristoph, I'm excited. Any thoughts you have as we conclude tonight's? It's been really well attended. We have a lot of viewers, a lot of new subs, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Any final thoughts you have, Kristoph, as we get ready to wrap up?
One thing I would like to say is I didn't get to catch names on them, but we just got 2 new patrons, or I shouldn't say patrons, 2 new
Jemmies
on Jimmy. So 2 new people just signed up.
Thank you so much. If that was you, pop it in the chat so I know who you are. If you just joined the Jemmy, pop it in the chat on Discord, please. Or I mean on Twitch, please.
But that's the kind of thing. And honestly, the fact that Anna and Greyhawk Mike and Pluffet Smedger, Gary Holian and Jay, and I mean everybody, is around and stuff like that. And there's, Greyhawk Online has a Discord. Cannon Fire has a Discord, you have a Discord and stuff like that. And the community, I think, is like the greatest part. And like that I can post on Twitter and say, hey, I'm looking for X, and generally somebody will respond, and stuff like that. If I bug Gary Holian enough, I can probably get another Death Knight article out of him.
Thank you, Gary.
I haven't ever really pushed Anna too much, but I would bet that if I asked her to write, a page for the Oerth,
she
Journal,
would.
she probably would.
She would. I've got a custom blue box map here on my wall. Anna made some customizations, changed some things around, put my logo on it. She's amazing.
But that to me is, like you were saying, all these new 5e folks and stuff like that. Greyhawk is in the player's handbook. When you look up an elf, it tells you what Grugach are. It's all there and stuff. And so people are curious, and they come out, not necessarily big, massive waves or whatever, but they come out one at a time. They're joining the community. And that's the big thing. Nowadays, honestly, the past few months, it's actually been a little bit difficult because there are so many people that have come up with their own ideas, and they started their own blogs, and they have, the stories they write or the thoughts they have. And, Giant Stomp and Arthur the Cleric have like their own resources pages and stuff like that. And Giant Stomp he does, oh my gosh, amazing subclasses and stuff like that, paladins and warlock and stuff. All of these people out there, the whole point I'm getting at, we're all one community, and we all, any fan that's out there who wants a little space to host their stuff, I'll give it to them on Greyhawk Online. They can have their own page. It's all about working with the community and getting the community to work back to create and share more and more material. Like you were saying, sharing the wiki through your show and stuff like that.
Right.
Creating and sharing for the world of Greyhawk.
All right, so like I'm getting more and more hyped up, and I'm about to lose my mind. So before I close off the stream and we raid Jay, any final thoughts from Robert or Evelyn? Nothing from Evelyn. I'm used to that. She at the end of the show, she's ready to go. She wants to hug her little daughter and put her in bed. I get it. Robert, any final thoughts you have?
No, I mean, listen, I've been a fan for Greyhawk Online since the first moment I found it. Kristoph is one of the first people I got to know in the community. And it's been a pleasure. Been a pleasure dealing with him and being able to work on the Oerth Journal and doing some editing. So, and I need to get some more articles done. Editing.
Go edit more.
That was the whole point of this show, Robert. You didn't know? The whole reason I did this, Kristoph said, how can we get Robert to do more editing? And I said, let's do an LMA. Let's bring him in. It'll be a hook. And then we can guilt trip him to do more editing in the wiki. So it played well.
And then now it's turning my mind to Virtual Greyhawk Con, which is coming up, and I've got 2 adventures of my own, because doing one would just not have been enough, and doing one twice, well, obviously that's just crazy talk. So doing 2 for one Friday, one Saturday. The Saturday game, I'm happy to say, is filled up. Friday, I still need 3 players at this point. It will be a Castles and Crusades adventure. So if you have space on Friday between Kayla's game and between John's game, my game is there. It won't run into either. You don't have to choose.
Please support Robert and that Castles and Crusades. Thank you, Gary. I've heard that before. I do not try to affect it. It's just what I was born with, but I appreciate that very much. So my final comments and thoughts are, I believe so deeply in this community. I think this is not just the past. As I said, it is the present and the future of D&D. It can weave into anything. I don't care if you're playing a Pathfinder system, a 3.5 system, I'll skip 4E, 5E system, 2E, 1E, Greyhawk. Yeah, Castles and Crusades. We play that on our stuff on Discord. Robert is running Castles and Crusades with the existing Greyhawk lore. You can plug this in anywhere. This is not the old stuff for grognards. This is not dusty lore to pull out from beneath the ground. This is living, not saying living Greyhawk, sorry, but living stuff in the Greyhawk community that you can be part of. And I want to say my final thoughts, Kristoph. 1, I want you to promise me here on stream, there's still a lot of people watching. Actually, the most people I've had watching at 7 o'clock, because normally they've already jumped off, and we're going to raid Jay just now. But promise me you'll come back again, because you have been a great guest, and I still want to dive into much more of the content that you have. Will you come back with us again?
Absolutely. I would love to come back and do more of like a deep dive into the wiki or how it works, or
That's what we want. Yes.
lore on the pages or anything. I would love to come back.
All right, so let's do that in October. I want to make that happen. So we're going to book it in October. You'll have Kristoph back. Please, everyone, we'll let you know. And then lastly, the thought that I had earlier on is I want to say thank you. You really saved some of this content from going into the dustbin of history online. And the stories that you told at the beginning of the stream, I did not cry, but inside a little bit. I shed a tear. It was huge what you did, and I want to say thank you to Gary, to the whole team at Greyhawk Online, and also to the whole team on Cannon Fire. The resurrection of this lore, the maintaining of all this great content has been everything to the community, and I want to say thank you, Kristoph.
I appreciate that so much, and I'm glad that it's been able to affect the community like that.
It certainly has. All right, so I'm going to kick off our raid, and I think we know who we're raiding tonight, so I'll pull this up, and I'll let Evelyn, because she always shakes her head at me, so I'm going to make her not shake her. We'll do a raid of Lord Gazumba. And as we kick him off, any final thoughts, Evelyn? Tell us about your character. Everyone wants to know your next character. Tell us.
I'm not telling anything. You guys gotta come see the show next week.
Not even a class, nothing?
They have to come join us.
All right, I want to say I would say thank you, Robert. Join Friday Night Crusades on our Discord. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Kristoph. Raiding Lord Gazumba right now.